Episode 1. Pilot. The Outer Banks is pretty much paradise on Earth in North Carolina, and there are two cliques on the island, one being the Pogues and the others being the Kooks. The Pogues are the working class, the neglected, but still find a way to love the island lifestyle they are living. The Kooks are the rich kids who act like they are too good to hang out with the Pogues, and they don't view them as equals. The group of friends that we will be following throughout the story are all Pogues, except the female. She comes from a Kook family, but prefers to hang out with the Pogues. We meet John B., whose father disappeared in a shipwreck 9 months ago. His mother left him at a very young age, and his Uncle T is meant to be his guardian, but is never around. John B.'s three best friends are Pope, Kiera, and JJ, and they pretty much do anything and everything together. A social worker is trying to get John B. into foster care as he is a minor, but he keeps trying to avoid her any chance he can because he doesn't want to go into the system. Well, a hurricane comes through town and helps him push it off a little longer. The following day, the Pogues head out to sea. They discover a shipwreck and dive down to see if there was anything cool on board, as they believe it went down during the storm. They end up finding a random motel key, but they don't know what it does or opens yet. Meanwhile, a dead body washes up on shore, and it turns out to be Scooter, the owner of the boat. The gang head to the motel and go in the room that the key works on. They find a map and a code that they use to break into the safe. For some strange reason, they think it is a good idea to take the money and gun that was inside and bounce. They then head to party that night, and we are introduced to Sarah Cameron, a kook that John B. seemingly is in love with, but she is dating another kook, Topper. Topper and John B. get into a fight at the party pretty much over Sarah. A few days later, the Pogue Four head to the shipwreck once again and bring a scuba tank this time that John B. borrowed from his employer and Sarah's dad, Ward. John B. finds a black bag, and when they get back to shore and empty it, his father's compass is inside. He thinks all of this may involve the treasure his father was looking for. Episode 2. The Lucky Compass. The episode opens with John B. trying to sneak the scuba gear back to Ward's house before he notices, and he is met by Sarah outside, who flirts with him a little bit. Her sister, Wheezy, overhears them talking and tells Topper later what they were talking about. John B. heads to his father's office with the others, and they are trying to find out any information they can about the compass and why this random boat would have it. It turns out this compass has a hidden code inside that translates to Redfield. Two shady dudes then show up that want the black bag back and are pretty confident John B. has it. They all hide out in the chicken coop, and then the two men break into his dad's office and find blueprints to the Royal Merchant and take a few boxes of evidence with them as well. The Royal Merchant is the shipwreck where the treasure is believed to be located at. Kiera and John B. visit a lighthouse together and speak to the man in charge about the Royal Merchant, and he tells them he believes the ship went down 10 miles north of where they are, but says if it were that easy, someone would have found it by now. When John B. shows the man the compass, the man freaks out for some reason and calls the police, so they bounce. Sadly, Ward found out about John B. stealing his air tanks and scuba equipment and sadly fires him from his boat cleaning job. To make matters even worse, he is still being chased by the two shady cats from earlier and is able to get away for now. The sheriff runs into John B. and tells him to give him the compass before anyone gets really hurt. John B. reluctantly gives the sheriff the compass and leaves. John B. gathers the others, and he believes his dad is still alive and can just feel it. He believes if they find the Royal Merchant, they will also find his dad. John B. then realizes the code Redfield wasn't a place, it is a person. He remembers his great-grandmother's name was Olivia Redfield, so they head to her tomb, and he believes the next clue is there. When they arrive, Kiera sees something inside, says, "Oh my gosh," and the episode ends. Episode 3. The Forbidden Zone. The Pogue Four look around inside the mausoleum. Kiera finds a package, and there is a map inside with coordinates, and also an X marks the spot. They think the treasure is located at the X, so they must decipher the location and head there. The treasure is roughly $400 million, and they want to divide it evenly. They head to a salvage yard where Kiera distracts the worker while the guys sneak in and steal an underwater drone as they don't have one or have money to buy one. While they are doing this, some fishermen caught two bodies in their catch, and they turn out to be the two men that were chasing the Pogue Four. There's definitely something big going on that we aren't aware of. Meanwhile, Sarah has to deal with jealous Topper because he doesn't want her anywhere around John B., which is understandable. After they get in a fight, he gets blackout drunk and talks with his best friend and Sarah's brother, Rafe, asking what he can do to make Sarah happy, and Rafe seems to have the IQ of a child. All of them run into each other, and Pope gets into a fight with Rafe because the two sides just don't like one another. And they remember the fight from the previous episode. To get revenge, JJ and Pope sink their expensive boat when they aren't around. Not going to lie, that's brutal. Eventually, the Pogue Four are able to make their way out to sea after the bad weather has finally passed. But of course, once out there, another storm is approaching in the distance. But John B doesn't want to stop looking. Eventually, they use the drone and find the royal merchant. But before we can see if the treasure is there, the episode ends. Episode 4. Spy Games. Sadly, they don't find anything located in or around the royal merchant. When they get back to shore, a CPS worker and a police officer are there to put John B in the system as he isn't 18 yet. Before they can get a hold of them, he gets on his bike and speeds away, but then runs into Sarah and asks her to help him. She takes him to her house and patches up his injuries that he suffered from the bike crash. Inside her bedroom, he sees a picture of the sole survivor of the royal merchant sinking, Denmark Tanny, and he wants to know everything there is to know about this cat. Sarah tells him she will help him find the archives of this survivor, but Topper cannot find out. The only problem? They have to sneak onto a ferry to take them to the mainland. They bond on the ride over. Topper might be old news, I'm afraid. John B tells her about the treasure hunt and how he wants to find his father as well. They go through the archives and find a letter that Denmark wrote his son right before he died, and John B takes a picture of it. After their little adventure, they share a goodbye kiss. While this is happening, Rafe and Topper confront Pope and JJ as they believe they sunk their boat, and Topper starts choking Pope, but luckily, Kiera is able to start a fire to get them to stop. Using Rafe's mother's security camera, the police are able to deduce that Pope was the culprit that sunk the boat. Rafe doesn't want to press charges as he knows they weren't in the right either, but Topper's mom forces them to do so. Pope is arrested by the police, but before they can take him away in the cop car, JJ takes the blame and says it was all him. He knows Pope is the smart one that has a bright future at a prestigious college and doesn't want this to be on his record. JJ is a damn good friend. The episode closes back with Sarah, and John B confesses his feelings for her, and we can tell she is starting to develop some as well. But how will the other kooks like that? Time will tell. Episode 5. Midsummers. This episode opens up with JJ talking to the police, and the police don't seem to be as interested in the boat fiasco, but the sheriff wants to know about their connection with the two dead men. She asks JJ to get John B to come talk to her, and he is slapped with a $30,000 fine, and his dad beats his butt for this. JJ comes from a very rough and abusive household. John B takes the letter to a teacher to translate it, and he believes there is a hint to where the gold might be. Every season, the island throws a party called the Midsummers where all the kooks get together. Topper and Sarah continue to fight at the party, and she clearly doesn't want to be with him anymore. JJ sneaks in as a waiter so he can give Sarah a note from John B, but when is spotted by Rafe, they start beating him down. Sarah meets with John B, and he tells her the gold didn't sink with the ship. It has been at Tanny Hill, Denmark's plantation, all this time. Apparently, Sarah's father has a plat map for the plantation, and he asks Sarah to sneak it out of her dad's office. Topper sees them talking, and he is fuming, then storms off. The Pogue Four meet together later that night, and John B tells them Sarah is helping them and is not against them, but they don't know how to feel at first. Kiera doesn't want her anywhere near the group or the treasure because she's just a spoiled little rich girl. She knows Sarah will betray them at some point for her family, especially if they find the treasure. While this is going down, Topper sneaks into Sarah's room to apologize for his actions and say he wants to be with her, but she isn't there. Only her sister Wheezy is. The Pogues head to the state park, and John B goes up a wooden tower to meet with Sarah, and she gives him the map and also tells him she broke up with Topper. She then kisses him, and a drunk Topper is down below sees this happen and becomes enraged. Topper pushes John B, and he falls out of the tower. Sarah screams for help, and then Kiera sees her kiss John B and is shocked. The episode ends with John B waking up in the hospital to see Sarah sitting at the end of his bed. Also, there is Ward who offers to John B to become his legal guardian, so he won't be taken away by CPS, and John B doesn't know what to say, but agrees. There's got to be an ulterior motive here. Episode 6. Parcel 9. John B is welcomed into his new home. It's very weird for him because he is pretty much becoming a kook now after being a Pogue his whole life. Also might be strange if the two of them end up dating living in the same house. John B tells the others, and they are shocked, but also relieved that he won't be taken away. They all head to a Crane household that was specifically marked on the plat map, and when they sneak in the basement, They don't find anything of relevance at first. Kiera seems to be a little jealous of John B. and Sarah together. She secretly likes him. While looking around, Pope finds a hidden well, but they don't have the gear to go down at the moment. John B. gets everyone together and wants to make peace between Sarah and Kiera, but they aren't having it and give John B. an ultimatum. He must pick one to join the adventure, and when he can't decide, they both leave. For a majority of the episode, John B. is trying to find a way to get both girls to join the club, as wants both of them to share the experience and gold with. John B. finds a way to con them both onto a boat with no keys to go anywhere. They are pissed at him at first, but when Sarah gets stung by a jellyfish, Kiera has no choice but to help her and take care of her. The girls then bond over this time together. Kiera begs Sarah not to hurt John B. like she did Topper, and Sarah promises her that she won't. When they are reunited with the guys, John B. is happy to see that they both put aside their differences. They head back to the Crane house, and the girls power down the house so the guys can sneak into the basement and go down the well. John B. goes down and is shocked to find human skulls on the bottom of it. JJ's hands start slipping, which leads to Mrs. Crane waking up and heading downstairs to see what is going on. They tell John B. to hurry up, but he uncovered a secret compartment where he finds the gold bars. They pull him up fast, but Crane starts blasting shotgun shells at them as they run away. Luckily, they get away and no one gets hurt. John B. shows the others the gold bar he was able to retrieve, and they are ecstatic. Episode 7. Dead Calm. This episode opens up with John B. and Sarah talking about the gold and how they are going to be filthy rich. Ward overhears them talking and later tells John B. they are going to go fishing the following day. John B. wanted to say no because he wants to go get the rest of the gold, but knows Ward is pretty much his savior right now, so he can't say no to him. The Pogue Four then work on melting the gold bar that they have to get rid of the wheat symbol, and when they take it into the pawn shop to cash out, the worker says they don't keep that much cash in store. The lady then directs them to a warehouse to get the money. They head that way, and one of the local known criminals, Barry, acts like a cop, pulls them over, and has them at gunpoint ordering them to give him the gold. John B. says not a chance, and they all start attacking Barry, but he gets away. JJ is starting to become a little unhinged as the season progresses. Barry then confronts Rafe as he sells coke to him all the time, and Barry says that Rafe's sister jumped him. Topper overhears this, and he tells Rafe that John B. has corrupted her mind. JJ and his father then get in a fight whenever JJ tries paying him back for his arrest fine, but his father wants to gamble the money instead, and JJ isn't happy about that and starts drinking. Pope and Kiera end up finding JJ completely wasted after spending his entire cash share on a new hot tub and alcohol. JJ breaks down because he knows how terrible his father is, and he doesn't have any other family, which then causes Pope and Kiera to hug him and tell him that they are his family. The next day comes, and John B. joins Ward on the fishing trip. Ward tells John B. that he knows he found the gold, and he wants his part of the share, but John B. tells him he doesn't know what he is talking about. Ward knew about everything, including the Redfield hint, and this makes John B. think that Ward had something to do with his dad's disappearance. John B. turns the boat around and starts speeding back, and the episode ends with Ward grabbing a hook seemingly to attack John B. Episode 8. The Runway. Ward attacks John B. and tells him it wasn't his fault that his father died. Before Ward can do any real damage, John B. jumps off the boat and rides a jet ski back to shore. John B. heads to Lana's house, the wife of Scooter who died in episode 1, and she tells John B. all the truth to the best of her knowledge. She explains that one night Ward came to talk to Scooter and told him about accidentally hurting John B.'s father over the percentage each would get from the treasure. Ward pushed John B.'s dad, John Routledge, who hit his head on the boat, died, and then Ward pushed him into the sea to get rid of any evidence. Little did Ward know, Big John made it to shore, and he spent his last moments carving the Redfield inscription on the compass for John B. to find and locate the treasure. Scooter found his body and the compass before John B. even knew about his death, and that is why it was on Scooter's boat when the Pogue Four found it. Ward and Scooter were working together to find the treasure as well, and Lana believes Ward may have ordered a hit on Scooter so he could have the treasure to himself. Ward makes his way back to shore, and he purposefully dislocated his shoulder so he could tell the police that John B. is crazy and attacked him. Then back over to John B., who has confronted Sarah and asked her if she told her father about the gold, and she says she wouldn't do that, but he doesn't believe her. John B. tells her everything, and she finds it hard to believe her father is a bad person, let alone a killer. Later, Sarah asks her father about everything, He sticks to his story that John B. went crazy and attacked him. Ward hears his wife say something about kids invading Mrs. Crane's home, and he realizes that is where the gold is hidden. John B. makes his way over to Crane's house, and he is shocked to find Ward beat him to it. John B. tells the others, and Pope tells them he just found out Ward is preparing to leave the country with all of the gold really soon. He is going to a vacation home in the Bahamas with it. Meanwhile, Lana has went to the sheriff and told her everything about Ward, and the sheriff realizes Ward has been behind everything, not John B. as she thought. At the airstrip, Sarah asks her dad what he has in the extra crates, but he says just extra packaging. John B. uses his car to block the plane from leaving the ground, and then the sheriff shows up as well. The sheriff cuffs Ward for the murder of Big John, and then the shocker of the season, Rafe shows up and shoots the sheriff dead to save his father. Episode 9. The Bell Tower. A dying sheriff tells John B. to run before Ward can kill him too. Rafe takes the cuffs off Ward, and he tells Rafe to take Sarah home right away. Sarah is hysterical and doesn't know what to think. Ward then uses the sheriff's radio to call in for help, and he is going to pin the sheriff's death on John B. JJ, Pope, and Kiera watch the plane fly away, and they think their chance at the gold is gone, and then John B. shows up to tell them what happened, and that the police are probably going to be after him because they'll think he murdered the sheriff. Back at the house, Ward talks with Rafe, and they get their stories straight, and to say Rafe never left the house today, and Ward thanks Rafe for having his back. The police have put a $25,000 reward out there for anyone that can help the police bring in John B. He finds himself hiding out in one of the Kook's garages because no one will look there. Plan doesn't work very well though, as Kelsey, the guy that lives there, finds him and locks him in a closet and has Topper keep guard while he goes and grabs the police so he can get his reward. Pretty soon thereafter, the police surround the house. Kiera and Pope head to Sarah's house to see which side she is on, and on the way there, Pope admits his feelings for Kiera, but she says a relationship would complicate their friendship. This breaks his heart. Kiera talks with Sarah, and she seems to be on the Pogue's side and wants to clear John B.'s name, even if that means ousting her own brother for murder. By some crazy plot armor, John B. is able to sneak out of the house and heads back to the abandoned church where he and Sarah hooked up. Sarah shows up soon after, but also had Topper following her as well. Sarah tells Topper Rafe was the one that shot the sheriff, not John B. Rafe was following them, and he lights the church on fire. Sarah manipulates Topper into disguising himself as John B. to the cops, while the Real John B. sneaks out of the back to safety. Episode 10. The Phantom. Season Finale. The finale opens with Sarah and John B. discussing fleeing to Mexico until John B.'s name is cleared. Pope and Kiera are desperate to clear his name, but until then, they will help them however they can. To make matters worse, the police have brought in some federal agents to help track down John B. and get him prosecuted to the fullest extent. While John B. is sleeping in the hideaway house, Sarah sneaks away and goes to the police and tells them the truth about Rafe being the killer, but Ward shows up right on time and tells the police that Sarah is bipolar and has an unhealthy obsession with John B. and will say anything. Sarah sees they are believing Ward's lies, so she runs out of the building. She ends up going back to John B., and they end up swimming away on paddleboards while waiting for Pope to come on the boat. John B. tells Sarah to meet him by the dock in an hour. He has a plan. John heads back to get some of the gold he left, but is met by the police in doing so. Before they can arrest him, he drives off in their police car and proclaims his innocence. Meanwhile, JJ and Kiera are confronted by Barry and Rafe at a warehouse where they went to get a speedboat, named Phantom, to take John B. down to Mexico, and then right when they are about to fight, Pope shows up and saves them at the last second. The Pogue four meet up at the dock, and Sarah isn't there to leave like John B. told her to be, so he is forced to go alone. He apologizes to his best friends for dragging them into all of this and says they deserve better. They tell him to stop, and it will always be Pogues for life. Pope and Kiera also share a kiss together. Shortly after this, the police catch up to the others and take them in for questioning. John B. is driving on the boat, and he sees Sarah running on the island, so he swings by to pick her up and speed away. Of course, there is a huge storm quickly approaching. Before they can get too far, the police shine a spotlight on them and tell them to come to shore. They won't survive the storm if they stay out on the water in their small speedboat. John B. yells to them that they will come back if Ward confesses to his crimes, but he obviously doesn't. They head into the storm, and their boat capsizes a little bit later. Deputy Shoup tells the other three that John B. and Sarah died in the storm because there was no way they would survive out there. They are heartbroken. Obviously, We knew they didn't die, and the episode ends with them finding a freighter that picks them up and says they are heading to the Bahamas too, where the gold is. And that is it for Season 1. A lot of intense mystery still left to be told, and I hope you watch my future videos I do of the later seasons. But thanks for watching this one.